Okay, today we're going to be studying trigonometric inverses. This is section 11.4. Let's get started. When we're talking about inverses with trigonometry, we're talking about finding the angle measure. We're going to be doing this with the sine, cosine, and tangent. Last lesson, you were actually asked to find cosine of some like 25 degrees or something like that, and you got a decimal value. We're going to go backwards and find out what angle would make that decimal value. So we're going to have to find out the buttons on our calculator to do that. You're going to use the inverse sine, cosine, and tangent, and they're listed right above the sine, cosine, and tangent buttons. That means you're going to have to use the second button to do that. So for cosine, x equals 0.6293, you're going to type in, use the second and the cosine button, and then type in the 0.6293, and you get this answer here. As you can see on the screen there, we get 51, and 0.00 rounds to just 51 degrees. Sine B equals 0.9976, you're going to type on your calculator second sine. Then you'll type in the 0.9976 like it is on the screen over there. And you'll get 86.02, but it says we're here to the nearest degree, so we don't need the 0.02. We just need 86 degrees. And number 5, we're going to use the tangent key. We're going to use the second tangent so that we get the inverse. And then your 0.0699, like it is on your screen. And you'll get 3.998 as you see there, but we want it to the nearest degree. So we're going to just have 4 degrees because it rounds up to 4. That's how we find the angle measure. We use the second key with those sine, cosines, and tangents, so we'll get those inverses at the top. Let's move on. Now we're going to find the angle, but we're going to use the calculator in the same way, but we have to figure out which one we're going to use, sine, cosine, or tangent. Remember, sine, cosine, and tangent used SOHCAHTOA. All right, so we're looking for this angle right there. I don't know, I'm going to call it X because I like that. We know that we have the opposite, and we have the adjacent. And opposite over adjacent, that's the OA, is tangent. So we're going to use tangent. Tangent, we always put the angle, but we don't know it, it's X. And we're going to put 6/21. Now this is like the last slide we did. We're going to need to get that angle. So we're going to have to use that inverse tangent. You're going to type in inverse tangent 6/21, close your parentheses, and hit enter. Go ahead and do that on your calculator and come back and check with me. As you can see here, we got on the calculator 15.94, but I want to just emphasize how we got that. We got that by using the second and the tangent button, then typing in the fraction 6.21. And they want it to the nearest degree, so 15.9 rounds to 16 degrees. Let's do another one. For number 8, we're going to have to use sine, cosine, and tangent, so we're going to use the SOHCAHTOA again. And we have to figure out which one we're going to use. So I'm going to call this X, and this side is the opposite, and this one's the hypotenuse. So opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So we're going to have sine of X, and the opposite we said was 45, hypotenuse 52, so 45 over 52. And now we need to use that inverse key again, or the second key with the second sign. And so pause the video, go ahead and do second sine 45 over 54 and come on back. Okay, we got 59.9, and the way we did that was we used the second and the sine button to get this inverse sine. And when we round this to the nearest degree, that's going to be 60 degrees. Let's move on. Now we're going to solve the triangle, and I need to explain what it means to solve a triangle. To solve a triangle means that we're going to find all the missing pieces. So you'll want to put that down somewhere as you're writing any notes for this lesson, that solving means to find all the missing pieces. That means we need this length of c, little c. We need this length of little b. We also need the angle measures. We also need angle B here. We need this angle here. We already know that this is 90 and that this is 37. So we're going to need angle B, little c, and little b. Sometimes we can do it in any order we want, and sometimes it really matters the order we do it because of what we know. We're going to do side B first, and what you need to know is that all the angles of the triangle add up to 180 degrees. We know this is 90. We know this is 37. So if we added those up and then subtracted that answer from 180, we would get the measure of angle B. I'll let you do that one. Come back when you have the answer. I got 53 degrees, so that is angle B. I can write that in there if I'd like. I'm going to try not to use that 53, but I have it there just in case. Now I want to find, I don't know, we'll move down to C. C is the hypotenuse here. I'm going to use this 37, and I have the 11, which is the opposite, and I'm looking for the hypotenuse. So opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So we're going to do sine 37 equals 11 over c. This is a review from last time. We're going to switch the places of these two, and we'll have c equals 11 over sine 37. Put that in your calculator and come on back. All right, when I put it in my calculator, I want you to notice I did not use the inverse sign this time. I just used the sine button right here, and I did the 11 divide the sine of 37. And I closed my parentheses when I was done, and I got 18.27. It says to round to the nearest tenth, so the 7 makes the 2 go up to a 3, and I have 18.3. Let's do B now. All right, when we're going to find B, we could just use the Pythagorean theorem with the 11 and the 18.3. But I want to try not to use these values that I just found. I want to try to use just the 37 and the 11 to ensure that I get accurate answers and I won't mess up. If I messed up on one of these, then this answer will be wrong too. So I'm going to try to use the 37 and the 11. So B is the adjacent, and the 11 is the opposite. So I have adjacent and opposite, so that's tangent. So we're going to go tangent 37 equals the opposite over adjacent. That's 11 over B. I'm going to switch places again. So B will equal 11 over tangent 37. Go ahead and type that in your calculator, 11 divide tangent 37, and check back with me. So when I put it in my calculator here, I got 14.5, but I did not use the inverse. We already have the angle, so we don't need it. I just used the tangent button, 11 divide tangent 37, and we get 14.59, so that 9 rounds the 5 up to a 6, 14.6. We have our three things. Remember, we're solving the triangle. We're finding all the missing pieces, angles and sides. We know all the sides now and all the angles. We're finished with this problem. Let's do number 14. Number 14, we need to find all the angles and all the sides. We're missing angle B. We're also missing side B. And we're missing side C. We can find angle B because we know that they all add up to 180. 180 minus, we add the 90 and the 25.2, and we get 64.8. So angle B is 64.8. We're also looking for side B and side C. Let's now move on to find side B. I'm going to use the 25.2. We're going to use what we know is a cross there. That's the opposite, and we're looking for the adjacent. So opposite and adjacent is tangent. We know that from our SOHCAHTOA from before. So we got tangent. We know the 25.2 equals 5, the opposite, over the adjacent, which is B. We're going to flip these two around, and we get B equaling 5 over tangent 25.2. Put that in your calculator and figure out what we got after that. We get 10.6. And notice how I typed it into the calculator there. I used this tangent button right here. And we're supposed to do it to the nearest tenth. So the 2 keeps the 6 the same, and we get 10.6. All right, let's move on to C. Let's find C. To find C, it's the hypotenuse, and we have the opposite. So we have opposite and hypotenuse. Opposite and hypotenuse is sine. So let's do sine 25.2. The opposite is 5 over the hypotenuse, which is C. And I'm going to switch these two around and say that C equals 5 over sine 25.2. You're going to put this in your calculator and come on back. I got 11.7. Notice how I typed it in my calculator. I used the sign button right here. And the 4 here keeps the 7 the same, so it's 11.4. We have solved the triangle. We have found all the missing angles and all the missing sides. Let's review what we've done. You have learned how to find the missing angle by using that inverse button on your calculator, or the second cosine, second sine, or second tangent. You've also learned how to do it on a triangle where you actually have to find the missing side. And last, we learned how to solve a triangle. I hope this has been helpful. Goodbye.